Okay. So.
I'll bring the mic, but I'm going to purify it because, you know.
Okay. There's nobody
Here's
here
it.
anyway.
Cocktails if you want.
I got here. I have my own special.
They started serving for 10 minutes. Try that.
Yeah, you better. You better go get some if you want. If you.
They said they're already serving out.
There's what?
They've been serving out for 20 minutes. That's really, you know. I thought it was a program.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Anyway,
I want to be in a great state of mind, but I want to get into the whole thing. So, all glories to Lord Ramachandra. Jai Sitaram, 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 Bhakti Rajaram, Bhakti Pavana Sitaram, Bhakti Rajaram, Bhakti Pavana Sitaram, Raghupati Raghava Rajaram, Bhakti Pavana Sitaram, Raghupati Raghava Rajaram, Bhakti Pavana Sitaram, Sitaram Jaya Sitaram, Sitaram Jaya Sitaram, Sitaram Jaya Sitaram, Sitaram Jaya Sitaram, 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 Lakshman, Hanuman, Sitaram, Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman. Ramchandra ki
Joy.
Hare Krishna. So, what I was going to do is read. I've had a lot of ideas in the last hour or two. So, what I've concluded is I'm going to read chapter 10, Srimad Bhagavatam, the summary of it, and then one or two verses, maybe say something, but also, normally I don't, but this is on the database, and because like people like Bhakti Nan, I don't know who else, but maybe Ati Sundari, I don't know. This, the actual first chapter in here, there's certain things I've highlighted, which explains the significance of Ramachandra's appearance. And so that's the basis of the class. And anyone wants to make some suggestions, feel free to, but I'd like to at least get started with this. Om, is that all right? Does that sound okay with everybody? Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Naruttamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Rudiriye. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should first offer our respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, to Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and to Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya
Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale
Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvise
Punyavali Paschatara Sasharane.
Normally, like last year, I read pretty much the whole chapter 10 from here, but I was thinking because we have some people here that are newer, and specifically in the very first verse, Sukadeva Goswami says, because you already know so much about the history of Rama, I'm going to tell the story in brief. But I thought, well, we have people here that may not know so much. So I wanted to just do a little bit from this Ramayana, which, as I mentioned, it's an ISKCON certified book. It's on the database, so it must be okay. I'm always a little leery about dealing with anything other than one of Prabhupada's books, because I've noticed there's contradictions sometimes over minutiae, but they become bigger than necessary. So anyway, I always feel safe just reading Prabhupada's books, but I'm going to see what happens. So this is chapter 10, the pastimes of the Supreme Lord Ramachandra. So if I have the blessings of all the Vaishnavas and Srila Prabhupada, this is the way we'll proceed. The 10th chapter describes how Lord Ramachandra appeared in the dynasty of Maharaj Katvanga. It also describes the Lord's activities, telling how he killed Ravana and returned to Ayodhya, the capital of his kingdom. The son of Maharaj Katvanga was Dirgha Bahu, and his son was Raghu. The son of Raghu was Aja. The son of Aja was Dasarath. And the son of Dasarath was Lord Ramachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the Lord descended into this world in his full quadruple expansion as Lord Ramachandra, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrugna, great sages like Valmiki, who were actually in knowledge of the Absolute Truth, described his transcendental pastimes. Srila Sukadeva Goswami describes these pastimes in brief. Lord Ramachandra went with Vishwamrita and killed Rakshasas like Maricha. After breaking the stout and strong bow known as Haradanu, the Lord married Mother Sita and cut down the prestige of Parasurama. To obey the order of his father, he entered the forest accompanied by Lakshman and Sita. There he cut off the nose of Surpanaka and killed the associates of Ravana, headed by Kara. Is it Kara or Kara? Kara, yeah. And Dushana. We used to have a Kara. Ravana's kidnapping of Sita Devi was the beginning of this demon's misfortune. When Marichi assumed the form of a golden deer, Lord Ramachandra went to bring the deer to please Sita Devi. But in the meantime, Ravana took advantage of the Lord's absence to kidnap her. See, so are there two Marichis? Because in the beginning of this paragraph, there's the Marichi, which Lord Ram goes with Vishwamitra, Lakshman.
Same one, he's not killed.
Yeah, he's not killed, but it says he's killed. It says killed Rakshasas like Maricha, but he actually sends them deep into the ocean. So, when Maricha assumed the form of a golden deer, Lord Ramachandra went to bring the deer to please Sita Devi. But in the meantime, Ravana took advantage of the Lord's absence to kidnap her. When Sita Devi was kidnapped, Lord Ramachandra, accompanied by Lakshman, searched for her throughout the forest. In the course of this search, they met Jatayu. Then the Lord killed the demon Kabanda, the commander, and the commander Vali. He killed the demon Kadamba and the commander Vali and established a friendly relationship with Sugriva. And the commander Vali and established a friendly relationship with Sugriva. After organizing the military strength of the monkeys and going with them to the shore of the sea, the Lord awaited the arrival of Samudra, the ocean personified. But when Samudra did not come, the Lord, the master of Samudra, became angry. Then Samudra came to the Lord with great haste and surrendered to him, wanting to help him in every way. The Lord then attempted to bridge the ocean, and with the help of advice from Vibhishana, he attacked Ravana's capital, Lanka. Previously, Hanuman, the eternal servant of the Lord, had set fire to Lanka, and now, with the help of Lakshman, the forces of Lord Ramachandra killed all the Rakshasa soldiers. Then Lord Ramachandra personally killed Ravana. Mandodari and other wives lamented for Ravana, and in accordance with Lord Ramachandra's order, Vibhishana performed the funeral ceremonies for all the dead in the family. Lord Ramachandra then gave Vibhishana the right to rule Lanka, and also granted him a long duration of life. I think it's like a kalpa or something. It's a really long time. The Lord delivered Sita Devi from Ashok forest and carried her in a flower airplane to his capital, Ayodhya, where he was received by his brother Bharat. When Lord Ramachandra entered Ayodhya, Bharat brought his wooden shoes. Vibhishan and Sugriva held a whisk and fan. Hanuman carried an umbrella. Shatrughna carried the Lord's bow and 2 quivers. And Sita Devi carried a water pot containing water from the holy places. Angada carried a sword, and Jambavan, or Riksharaj, carried a shield. After Lord Ramachandra, accompanied by Lord Lakshman and Mother Sita Devi, met all his relatives, the great sage Vasishtha enthroned him as king. The chapter ends with a short description of Lord Ramachandra's rule in Ayodhya. So text 1 is Sri Sukha Uvacha Bharadvanga Dirha Vahus Cha Ragus Tasmat Pritushava Ajas Tato Maha Rajas Tasmat Dasarato Bhava. So that's your name, Pritushava, right?
Yeah. If it's hyphenated, it's a descriptive word. It's not.
It means saintly and celebrated.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a name for, it's a description of Raghu, Maharaj Raghu. Sukadev Goswami said, the son of Maharaj Katvanga was Dirgabahu, and his son was the celebrated Maharaj Raghu. From Maharaj Raghu came Aja, and from Aja was born the great personality Maharaj Dasara. Tasyapi, this is text 2. Tasyapi Bhagavanesha Sakshat Brahmanyo Hari Samsena Chaktodagit Gat Putratvam Parhita Sorai Rama Lakshmana Bharata Satrugna Iti Samgyaya. Being prayed for by the demigods, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth Himself, directly appeared with His expansion and expansions of the expansion. Their holy names were Rama, Lakshman, Bharat, and Satrugna. These celebrated incarnations thus appeared in 4 forms as the sons of Maharaj Dasara. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Ramachandra and his brothers, Lakshman and Bharat, and Chaturghna, are all Vishnu Tattva, not Jiva Tattvas. The Supreme Personality of Godhead expands into many, many forms. Advaita Chutamanadim Anantarupam. Although they are one and the same, Vishnu Tattva has many forms and incarnations, as confirmed in Brahma Samhita 539. Ramadi Murtisu Kala Niyamena Tishtan. The Lord is situated in many forms such as Rama, Lakshman, Bharat, and Satrughna. And these forms may exist in any part of his creation. All these forms exist permanently, eternally, as individual personalities of Godhead, and they resemble many candles, all equally powerful. Lord Ramachandra, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughna, who, being Vishnu Tattva, are all equally powerful, became the sons of Maharaj Dasarath in response to the prayers of the demigods. So this is where I would like to jump over here, because I find that the description of, first of all, the city of Ayodhya really beautiful, and so just to give a sense of the grandeur, and also the great sense of anxiety and stress that Dasarath, Lord Ramachandra's father, was experiencing. This is the classic story where they don't have a proper heir, and they're in great anxiety what's going to happen to the kingdom. And this kingdom goes back to Ishvaku or Manu. Ishvaku, then Manu. It's a long heritage, and he's the emperor of the earth at this point. And we still have Ravana to contend with, and they know about that. And everyone is in anxiety, but Dasarath especially, his stress and anxiety is about receiving an heir, because it's getting close to his time of retirement. So we see the significance in the Vedic culture of good progeny, and in this case, a son. So I just wanted to read a little bit that is described here. So the chapter is entitled King Dasarath's Longing. I'll just start somewhere in here. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It says, this is Dasarath is looking out from his palace. From his 7-story terrace, Dasarath could see much of his city, which stretched to the horizon in all directions. Crowds of citizens moved along the well-planned roads, which were intersected with mango groves and orchards. The broad central highway, built entirely of red stone, ran the full 100-mile length of the city. Large white mansions lined that road, with many colored pennants waving in the breeze on their roofs. The roads were sprinkled with perfumed water and strewn with flowers. Above the city, the king could see golden airplanes of apsaras, the consorts of the gods. So it's saying here that he's plunged into an ocean of anguish, and he's walking the length and breadth of the palace, back and forth through the hallways and into the inner chambers. He finally descends into his inner chambers, and his wife's trying to console him. But nothing can satisfy him. Then all of a sudden he gets news. First of all, it says here, they sat him on a large golden couch covered with silk pillows and studded with gems. His senior wife, Kaushalya, gently massaged his feet, while Sumitra and Kaikeyi fanned him with snow-white charmer wisps. So he's praying. He's everything around him is so elegant, so heaven, celestial. Everything that you could possibly think would make someone happy, but he's not happy, because his responsibility is to his citizens. The Ramayana teaches us several things about loyalty, the sense of duty, service, and so here he is the emperor of the world. He has this beautiful palace, beautiful wife, all these opulences. He could just go on and retire. All right, so I don't have any sons. Let them figure it out, you know. He's not trying to enjoy this possession, this palace, his wives, his wealth. He's trying to serve his citizens. That is his whole goal. And by serving his citizens, he's serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he's praying to have a proper heir come, a qualified son come to carry on this line to rule the world. Because otherwise, we have Ravana to deal with. There's all kinds of ill omens all about us. We don't want the religious principles to be completely destroyed. So, while he's absorbed in his thoughts and prayers, a messenger came telling him that the chief priest, Vashishta, was now present in the assembly hall. Dasarath had been waiting for this news. He rose up and with the gait of a powerful lion went along the wide palace passageways, his large sword swinging at his side and his gold ornaments jangling as he walked. Near to the hall, he was joined by his chief ministers. All of them were heroes who had been tried in battle, and all were learned and wise. The state ran smoothly under their expert administration. There were no citizens without employment, no criminals left unchecked. The ministers were devoted to Dasarath's service. As they walked, they considered the problem facing the king. Flanked by his bodyguards and ministers, Dasarath entered the great hall. It vied in splendor with the assembly hall of Indra, the king of the gods. Massive marble pillars rose up to a roof which seemed to reach the sky. Balconies of alabaster and coral, worked with gold filigree, were gradually tiered all around the hall. Along the balconies with gold seats, spread with white cushions, large silk tapestries depicting the pastimes of the gods hung from the walls, which were lined with lapis lazuli and encrusted with jewels. I mean, this is, you know, we've been told that our civilization has just crawled out of the mud in the caves within the last few thousand years. And this is a history of an actual kingdom and actual real human beings on this planet about 2 million years ago, because this was in Treta Yuga. So we're 5,000 years into Kali Yuga, and Dwapara Yuga is about 8,000 years, and the Treta Yuga is 1.2 million years, I believe. So that would say that 2 million years ago, there was a civilization that had this kind of standard of living, this kind of civilization that had these kind of, honorable, pious people, learned people who knew the purpose of life, who knew the workings of the universe and what was real duty, what was real responsibility. Their character was impeccable. The air was filled with the scent of incense. In the center of the hall sat numerous priests who continuously chanted prayers from the ancient scriptures invoking the presence of deities. The great mega drum resounded deeply as Dasarath strode towards his seat. Everyone stood there, and there was cry of "Victory! All glories to Emperor Dasarath!" The king appeared like a god, took his seat on a large throne and refined gold bedecked with brilliant celestial gems. A hush descended on the assembly as Dasarath prepared to speak. Everyone sat in expectation. The citizens knew of the king's word. They loved him like a father and shared his anxiety. They were grouped in the hall according to their class. At the front were the Brahmins, wearing simple cloth and holding their water pots and prayer beads. On one side sat the warriors, their powerful bodies clad with silks and gold ornaments, with long swords hanging from their belts. Near to them were the tradespeople in their colorful dress, and behind them were the servants and workers, also beautifully adorned. All social classes were represented in that assembly. Dasarath looked around the hall, smiling affectionately at everyone. Although the king was preoccupied with his work, no one could detect it in him, any negligence or laxity in his duties. Seeing him smiling at them, the people felt reassured that Dasarath would find a solution to his problem. They sat awaiting his speech. Placing his hand on his gold scepter, the king turned to his chief priest Vasishta, who sat on a raised seat near the throne. With a powerful voice that boomed around the hall, Dasarath addressed the priest. I have called this assembly to settle a great worry of mine. As you know, this wide earth has for a long time been held under the sway of victorious kings in my line. O jewel among sages, is that glorious history about to end? What can I do to ensure that our proud lineage will continue? Dasarath was perturbed that he had no son, having ruled as the undisturbed emperor of the earth for thousands of years. His retirement was now approaching, but there was no one to succeed him. So I'll skip ahead. Dasarath, we already know. Dasarath looks anxiously at Vasishta, who was both his priest and preceptor. Quote, O learned one, you know well the perils that attend a kingdom bereft of a monarch. How can I retire to the forest, leaving this world without a protector? Vasishta sat surrounded by many other Brahmin sages. His hand rested on his staff as he listened to Dasarath. The sun shone through the carved lattice windows of the hall, covering the king with golden light. Vasishta, shining with his own mystic power, appeared like a second sun as he replied to the king. O Emperor, I have no doubt that you will soon be blessed with a powerful son who can succeed you. Not long ago, I heard this told by Sanat Kumar, the immortal sage who roams the universe. A divine arrangement is being worked by the gods for your everlasting benefit. And Vasishta mentions that he has his hermitage outside the city, and that some days previously, the famous seer Sanat Kumar, this is not him speaking, this is a description. Some days previously, the famous seer Sanat Kumar, who always appeared like a young boy, had spoken with Vasishta. He told him that soon 4 powerful sons would be born to the emperor. These sons would be divine incarnations, appearing to fulfill the purpose of the gods. Vasishta continued, quote, the Brahmins have all been praying to the Lord for your sake, O monarch. We have seen auspicious signs in the heavens. It is clear that some great plan of the supreme will be achieved through you. The king felt joy to hear his priest's words. Like his forebears before him, Dasarath had religiously pursued his duties as emperor. Under his benevolent rule, the world enjoyed prosperity and peace. The king desired not only the immediate material enjoyment of his people, but his spiritual well-being as well. He kept everyone on the path of piety and truth, leading them towards freedom from the cycle of birth and death. Seeing all the people as his own children, he was concerned that their happiness would continue after his retirement. He spoke again. I have been considering the performance. This is the king speaking now, so you're not confused. This is Dasarath. I have been considering the performance of a horse sacrifice for the pleasure of the gods and O noble sages, will this be successful? Can I satisfy the Lord in this way, thereby attain my desired end? So, it's obvious that he understands that ultimately it's Vishnu he has to satisfy. But he's also considering the Vishnu's agents, the demigods. So Vasishtha returns by saying, We are in agreement, O tiger among men. Let the sacrifice proceed. We shall immediately prepare a ground on the banks of the Saryu. You will certainly get a son by this method. The assembly erupted with joyful shouts. Everywhere were cries of, Let it be so! Let the sacrifice proceed! The king, his eyes grown wide with delight as he anticipated the fulfillment of his desire, said to Vasishtha, Let the preparations begin today, protected by 400 of my best warriors. The sacrificial horse will roam the globe before returning for the sacrifice. So, without having to read all of this, what happens is the emperor will send out an unblemished horse, and it is surrounded by 4 powerful generals. And it's to go and approach all of the other kings of all the other regions around the planet. And they're being invited to come to the sacrifice. If they don't accept the authority of the emperor, then they must do battle with these generals. And if they accept, then everything goes properly. You can't go ahead with the sacrifice until you get the agreement or the surrender of all of the other kings around the earth. But everyone is anxious for Dasarath's success. No one resists, but it takes 1 year to go around the planet, and then he come back with the horse, and so the whole city of Ayodhya was filled with excitement as the news of the king's sacrifice spread. Let me see, from the balconies of the houses lining the wide avenues, wealthy people threw down gems for the Brahmins, and the jewels sparkled brightly on the clean paved roads. The city resonated with the sound of lutes, trumpets, and kettlebells. Augmenting the music was the chanting of Brahmins, reciting the Holy Scriptures, with flags and pennants flying, festoons hanging before the houses, and flowers strewn everywhere. Ayodhya had the appearance of a festival held by the gods in heaven. So they prepare the horse, they send the horse, and seeing the horse return, Dasarath called Vasishtha. He touched his guru's feet and asked him with all humility, O Holy One, if you deem it fit, please now commence the sacrifice. You are my dearest friend, as well as my guru. Indeed, you are a highly exalted soul. Fully depending on you, I am confident of this sacrifice outcome. And then Vasishtha assures him that everything is done properly. He signs. It was prophesied that this other assistant, Rishwasringa, would help Dasarath obtain progeny. And he was put in charge. He was a very powerful Brahmin from the kingdom of Anga. So we're going to fast forward. So now all of the kings have been invited. So Dasarath is now giving instructions. He's telling Sumantra, who was especially close to Dasarath, we have invited all the kings from all over the globe. On behalf of the emperor, you should personally ensure that they are all properly received. Take particular care of the celebrated King Janaka, the heroic and truthful ruler of Mithila. With my inner vision, I can see that he will, in the future, become intimately related to our house. Dun, 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 dun. Do we know who that is?
Other Sita.
Dun. What?
Sita Devi's father.
So then all the kings will be coming to Ayodhya, and that they'll be bearing valuable gifts of jewels, pearls, clothing, and golden ornaments. Upon their arrival, they in turn were offered gifts at Vasishta's command. So Vasishta says this: "Give freely to all. No gift should ever be made with disrespect or irreverence, for such begrudging gifts will doubtlessly bring ruin to the giver." Now, my recollection is that what they do now is they build marble palaces for each one of the kings to reside in. And everybody's received properly. Excuse me one second. Does anyone have anything? Are we okay? All right so far? Any questions or anything? Okay. I'm just trying to set the scene for the actual arrival, how we know that he's coming. So, let me see. Vasishta and Vishwamrashringa then arranged for one final ritual to be performed. You know, they distributed to the Brahmins hundreds of millions of gold and silver coins, as well as millions of milk-bearing cows. Millions! And there was tens of thousands of Brahmins present at that sacrifice, with enough wealth to last their entire lives. They called the gods by name to come and accept the sacrificial offering made to them. The celestial smoke, with the offerings sanctified by the Vedic mantras, rose upward to the skies and received by the gods. I don't know if I've already passed the point, where they took the horse, the sacrificial horse, and he renders the horse unconscious, places him on the fire, and instantly you see the soul of the horse rising up to the heavens. And so now he knows that everything's going well, and so and the smoke's going up into the heavens, and the heavens, the demigods are seeing this, and they're becoming aware. So now, let's see. With the universal creator Brahma at their head, they personally assembled in the sky above Dasarath's sacrificial compound. Unseen by everyone, the gods began to address Brahma. "Because of a boon granted by you, O Lord, the king of the Rakshasas, Ravana, is constantly harassing us and is extremely difficult to overpower. Having begged from you that he may be made invincible to us all, as well as to practically to all other created beings, that evil-minded one now seeks to overthrow us. He profanes even great saints and has no regard for anyone at all." Brahma was concerned that his boon to Ravana was creating such problems. He listened to Indra on behalf of the gods. Indra began to speak. "Ravana sought invincibility, but did not ask for immunity against humans, whom he considered to be of no consequence. Thus his death must come at the hands of a human. Please, therefore, beseech the Lord to appear as Dasarath's son." So Dasarath, he's very fortunate. He has Indra and all the demigods asking Lord Brahma to please undo this boon and beseech Lord Vishnu to come and appear as the son of Dasarath. So his anxiety for a qualified son is well supported. He has no fear. He's being supported by all the demigods. They're all behind him. They see this is the chance. Dasarath is the qualified king. Dasaratha is pious, Dasaratha is righteous, and his son should come, Vishnu should come as his son and deal with this Rakshasa Ravana, who is causing havoc all over the universe. So, Brahma assented to the God's request. He knew that the time for the Lord's appearance had come. Seated in meditation, Brahma thought of the Lord within his heart. At that moment, Vishnu appeared in the sky. Only the gods saw him as he descended upon the back of the eagle Garuda. His beautiful body was blackish, and he shone with a brilliant luster. He was dressed in yellow silk with a garland of blue lotuses. A necklace of bright celestial gems hung around his neck. Just imagine seeing this. He's coming down this Garuda. And the way he's dressed, he's shining with brilliant luster. He's adorned with numerous gold ornaments and jewels. He held in his hands a kancha, a mace, a discus weapon, and a lotus flower. Gracefully descending, he sat amid the gods as they worshipped him with hymns and prayers. Brahma addressed Vishnu in a reverential tone. O Lord, here is the worthy Dasaratha praying for a son. All the worlds are sorely afflicted by the evil Rakshasa Ravana, who must be slain by a man. Be pleased, therefore, to take birth as Dasaratha's son. Appearing in a human form, please dispatch Ravana in an encounter and save the worlds from their suffering. Vishnu smiled at the gods. He spoke reassuringly in a voice deep, like a rumbling of thunderclouds. Now, I've always wondered what the Lord's voice sounded like, and I'm sure he doesn't have a Long Island accent. As a matter of fact, I had the opportunity to play Lord Chaitanya for Prabhupada, and one devotee, senior devotee, asked Prabhupada. They were asking Prabhupada what he thought. He said he approved. He said, but Lord Chaitanya had he said a Brooklyn accent, but it's a Long Island accent. It's not. Prabhupada said, no, that's so. Bear with me. So, O gods, O gods, give up all fear. Along with my own expansions, I shall soon be born as 4 sons of Dasaratha. I myself shall appear as his eldest son, and my personal weapons will incarnate as my brothers. After annihilating Ravana and his demon hordes, I will remain on the mortal plane, ruling the globe for 11,000 years. Now that wasn't like a thunderbolt, but anyway, those were his words, according to this. So, let's see. Now the thing is that they're having this incredible fire sacrifice, and the chanting of all the hymns and music is being played, and there's beautiful aromas and incense burning everywhere in this beautiful setting. But right above them, in the clouds, are all of the demigods. And then Vishnu is there. Only Vasishtha, I believe, is the one who can see. None of them are aware of it, but they sense something auspicious is happening. They can sense that. It's there. So the inconceivable Vishnu then disappeared even as he was being worshipped. The gods felt their purpose was accomplished, and after accepting Dasaratha's offerings, they returned to the heavens. In the sacrificial compound, the rituals were almost over. Dasaratha sat expectantly, hoping for some sign of success. He was apprehensive. If he could not obtain a son by this method, then he would surely be lost. He looked at the blazing fire as the last offerings were being made. Suddenly, there arose from the sacrificial fire a shining, beautiful, personal form. Everyone watched in wonder as he descended near the king, remaining slightly above the ground. In his hands he held a golden bowl filled with celestial ambrosia. He spoke to Dasarath in a voice resounding like a kettle drum. I always love when they give you these words that sound like thunder, run like a kettle drum. I don't know how to sound like those things. So, O King, know me to be a messenger of the Lord of all created beings, Vishnu. Please accept my heartfelt welcome, O Divine One. Replied the king. That was the king speaking, I'm sorry. Please accept my heartfelt welcome, O Divine One, replied the king, with palms joined. What shall I do for you? By worshipping the gods and sacrifice, you have received this reward, said the messenger. Take now this ambrosia, prepared by the gods, which will bestow upon you the offspring you desire. Give it to your wives. Through them you will soon secure 4 celebrated sons. So, accepting the ambrosia with his folded hands, bent low and saying, So be it. The king felt a surge of joy as he took the golden vessel, even as a pauper would feel happiness upon suddenly gaining great wealth. As a mark of respect, the king walked with folded hands around the messenger, who, having discharged his duty, immediately vanished into the fire from which he had appeared. The king stood in amazement, holding the bowl. All around him the Brahmins cried out, Victory! Victory! After offering his prostrate obeisances to Vasishta, Dasarath left the sacrifice along with his wives and returned to his palace. The king gave half of the ambrosia to Kaushalya. He gave the other half to Kaikeyi, and the youngest wife, who was especially dear to him. Both of these wives each gave a part of their share to the king's third wife, Sumitra. All these noble wives of the emperor felt honored and immediately ate the ambrosia. In a short time they felt within themselves the presence of a powerful offspring. Their minds were enlivened by the divine energy of the children inside their wombs, and they felt elated. Dasarath, who had at last attained his desired objective, felt as delighted as Indra, the king of the gods in heaven. Having decided to incarnate in Dasarath's family, Vishnu summoned the gods and commanded them. This part I love. Soon my advent upon the earth will occur. Assisted by you, I will crush the despicable Ravana. Foolishly, that evil one did not ask immunity from humans or animals, considering both to be entirely powerless in the face of his strength. As I promised, I will descend as a human. O gods, without leaving your posts as universal controllers, you are capable of expanding yourselves onto earth. You should therefore appear in the world as powerful monkeys. Vishnu's plan for the protection of the worlds was unfolding. The gods took birth as monkeys, who had strength equal to their godly power. They could assume various forms at will. They were gallant, as swift as wind, highly intelligent, and practically invulnerable in battle. The earth became populated with millions of huge monkeys, who, in the way of gods, grew up as soon as they were born. As haughty and as strong as lions and tigers, they roared loudly and sprang about fearlessly. They were headed by Vala, the expansion of Indra, and by Sugriva, the expansion of Surya. Fearful in appearance, they thronged the peaks of mountains and resided in great forests. When they came together, they appeared like masses of clouds moving about on the surface of the globe. So just in the next part here explains that, so Dasarath had decided, his desire was fulfilled, dwelt happily in Ayodhya, awaiting the birth of his son. The Brahmins and kings who had assembled for the sacrifice left for their various abodes, sent on their way with kind words and gifts by the emperor. 4 seasons passed. Then, at a time when favorable stars were visible in the heavens, Kaushalya gave birth to a son named Rama. Though Rama was the Lord of creation, Kaushalya felt him simply as her own dear child. She held him tight to her bosom, overwhelmed with motherly affection and unable to recognize his divinity. Coming out of the delivery room, Kaushalya shone brilliantly with that baby boy who had eyes like lotus petals. Next was Bharat, who was born from Kaikeyi, and from Sumitra, who had received 2 portions of ambrosia, were born twin sons, Lakshman and Shatrughna. All 3 boys resembled celestials, and they seemed to blaze with their splendor. Let the victories begin. Let the battles begin. So I just thought, reading that as on the appearance day, something different. So does anyone have anything they'd like to add or mention?
Thank you very much.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very nice presentation.
All I did was read. I was actually had some things I was going to say, but I just feel like I wasn't going to read as much as I did, but somehow or other, when you come in here, you have one plan, Krishna has another.
Sorry.
So I just went with it. I actually had no intention of reading all that, but that's somehow that seemed like the right thing to do. I hope everyone felt some closeness to the pastime, felt the sense of the divinity of this day, and the importance and significance of this day, and of this particular incarnation. I heard Prabhupada say that Lord Ramachandra is the closest to Krishna in terms of full opulences. Krishna is the original candle. Ramachandra's, and of course Balaram is his brother. There's no, Prabhupada said the only difference between them is Krishna is blackish, Balaram's whitish, but there's also 4 other things that Krishna has that I don't believe Balaram has. The flute playing, and some other things. Yes?
It's, what's the word, Madhurya Rupa? His form,
Yeah.
his flute playing, always surrounded by
Fred.
the
Fred.
gopis,
Yeah.
and then his
And-
Leela,
The Leela, what?
his Leela.
The Leela? I mean, like the,
Leela, right? Madhura Leela, Madhura Rupa, Madhura.
well, Balaram has the right, doesn't he have the last name also? But
Yeah.
I thought it had something to do with the cowherd boys, the gopis. the
Always
flute
surrounded by loving devotees.
devotees.
It
His
could be,
form, what's that?
it could be gopas or gopis.
Yeah, loving devotees. His form,
Yes.
his flute playing, and his Leela
And his Leela, yeah.
What's a Leela? Pastimes.
His pastimes. Because Balaram's intimately connected with all of those things. So, yeah, I mean, one thing I was meditating on also though, I mean, Prabhupada used to call us his monkey army, which was a great privilege. But Prabhupada's, the mood of service that Srila Prabhupada exhibited, especially in the early days, I mean, you can go back to when he was in Vrindavan and how he's typing these manuscripts on a manual typewriter in India. It's not an electric typewriter, and I'm sure there's no whiteout or anything like that. And then having to go all the way into Delhi, which is like 90 miles away or something, and I don't know. And then having to deal with what do you call it? The type of press. It's when they put the letters down. What do they call it?
Typesetting.
Typesetting. So every letter has to be correct. Sometimes the letter may be put in backwards or upside down, or there may be some other. But once you put it all in, it takes takes a great deal of time and labor to set it all right, and then put the press down and get it done, and then page after page after page, raising the funds to pay the printer to go out and then to sell the books. All the trials and tribulations he had to go to just to get passage on the ship. But then, after he has the 26 Second Avenue, the early devotees described how they would come over for lunch. This was before the Sunday feast days, the lunch. They would come over, when they would get there around 12 o'clock, I think it was, there would be a lunch already made, cooked. And nobody ever seemed to think about who had cooked it or who had prepared it, and he would serve it out personally. And then they would all enjoy the prasadam, and then they'd get up and walk out. And then finally one of them stood back one day to see what would go on, and they saw Prabhupada taking the plates, personally cleaning them, putting everything away, and with this kind of he was serving. He was only interested in trying to serve us. That was he served us. Finally, someone said, "Can I help you? Can I do something for you?" And that's how it began. But he never demanded anything. He commanded. So, and that mood is the mood of Hanuman. I'm mentioning it because it's today. Hanuman is there. Also, I find Vibhishan is one of those personalities, like, to me, because he speaks power to authority. He has the integrity to speak up to Ravana. He never thought, I think he's actually a half-brother or something, a step-brother, not a full brother. But in any case, whatever, he's his brother. And he never agreed. He said, I have all these women, beautiful wives. Why this one? This is wrong. This is Ram Chandra. He understood, he had a sense that this was, and he always was opposed to everything. And finally, at one point, he breaks from him. And when he comes, he's in the air, and I think he has 2 ministers with him, or 4 ministers, 2 on each side. And he's in the air, and I can't remember if it's Sugriva, some of they first see him, and they're very suspicious of him. They think this is a trick. They don't trust him at all. They advise Ramchandra not to allow him. And he's coming for shelter. He's saying that I'm coming to surrender to Lord Ramachandra. So, I think it was Prabhupada, I heard him say something, that he never considered his motives. He saw that he was surrendering. He never considered his past. He just considered that he was surrendering. And this is the way it was in the beginning. Prabhupada never considered our past, our motives, our lack of good qualities. He took us. He served us. And that, this is the mood of what Namo Mahabharanaya, Krishna Prempadayate, Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Guru Siddhama. He's the most magnificent of all the incarnations, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is his movement. This is what Prabhupada brought us. And we would not really know about the Ramayana. We may have heard something about it later on in our lives without coming in contact with the ISKCON, but I doubt it. And if we did, we wouldn't really understand it. And I doubt I really understand it even now. Anyway, this is just some things I was meditating on. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Sita Ram.
Sita Ram.
That's a family song.